Hello today. Another episode of Truth and Freedom. The truth shall make you free. Today I'm going to talk about my experiences in the public with not wearing a mask during this COVID-19 crisis. But first, I'm going to give you an energy drink that I use that's caffeine free. Of course, you could always add caffeine to it. But I want to give this to my viewing audience. So we have apple cider vinegar, rhodiola, Asian ginseng, and ashwagandha, and lemon. I'm going to make it right in front of you. What I do is I take distilled water because it's basically empty of anything, any nutrients. This is what I usually vortex with too. Pour it in. Put in a capful of apple cider vinegar, which has a lot of nutrients in it, a lot of minerals in it. Plus, it's alkaline, so it'll get your body alkaline. Throw that in, boom. Squeeze a lemon. And then I'm not going to put these in today because I've already had a drink with it. But you have rhodiola, Asian ginseng, and ashwagandha, all for energy and vitality, all of them. So then you would just take this, squeeze it, put it in the drink. But it's a great, and then also you could use turmeric, which would increase vasodilation or nitric oxide in the blood vessels in the bloodstream. So it would be a vasodilator. So you could add a turmeric. And you could also but you have to be careful, you have to be near a toilet. You could also add cayenne pepper. But you have to just put a light touch on the cayenne pepper because it could make you go to the bathroom, frankly. It kind of acts as a diuretic. But anyway, so that's that. I wanted to give you that. Now for my experiences that I've had with these people in public has been very interesting. So the first experience, I had a couple experiences with security in places. The first I had actually was, I wasn't going to mention this, but I just remembered it in Target. The security guy just said told me I have to leave, and a person who I think was posing as the manager actually said, "Get out." So I just left. And by the way, I could explain. I'll explain at the end how it's actually a civil rights violation. So then I went to Harris Teeter, which I go grocery shopping to just about every day. I came across the manager, and she said to me that you have to wear a mask, and I said no, I don't. And what she told me is, after that time, and the security came to me, and he kind of got into it with me, and I think I called him "you people," and what I meant by, and he was, I call them melanated because it's a better term for black people. I don't like that term black because you're not a crown, but I said "you people," and he tried to make it racial, and what I was actually talking about was order followers, which I call cops. They're order followers, which I think is an evil, but I won't get into that today. So that's what I meant by "you people." And in fact, I talked to my blonde-haired, blue-eyed friend later, and I said "you people." So it's just something I say. It had no racial intent behind it. But anyway, he tried to make it racist, and then the manager came over, and came back, and I called her, and I explained that actually I'm very against racism, and that I explained to her that this was an executive order that was given here on the landmass known as Maryland. It was an executive order, and that only applies to the executive branch, and it doesn't apply to we the people. So that was my first experience. And the second time, I guess there's a higher up manager there, very friendly with me. He smiled and he said, "You have to wear a mask." And he said to me, "I'm sorry, but I have to call, I'm told by my policy I have to call the cops." And I said, that's, whatever you have to do is fine. So then I got out of the store before they called. He actually said he wouldn't do it in a hurry because I'm a good customer there. And, I got out, got my food, took my Uber home. Then there was I want to go in all the time, but then there was another time where I had to wait for an Uber, so a cop actually showed up. And I got into it with the cop. We had a discussion. I was very calm. He came up to me and said, "You have to wear a mask." I said, "No, I don't." And at some point, he asked me for my name. And I said, "My name is my property. I'm not giving that to you." And then he said, "Well, I need some sort of ID." And I said, "You're not getting it from me." And he finally let go of that. And he said, "Well, you have to wear a mask." And I said, "I'm sorry, sir, but executive orders only apply to the executive branch." And he yelled and started saying, "Whoa!" And then I said, "Sir, calm down. Calm down. I'm not the one getting all upset here. And, Article 3 of the Maryland State Constitution says that a law can only be passed by bill." And what he was doing, by the way, when cops yell at you like that, is it's a neuro-linguistic programming technique called mirroring. They want you to start yelling, so then when you start getting a higher tone, they make you look like you're a fool, because of course it was being filmed. But anyway, so I said to him, "Look, Article 3 of the Maryland Constitution says that a law may only be passed by bill. It can only one thing can be passed at a time. It has to be read in the House of Delegates and the Senate 3 times each, and then they can do a vote on it. And then once it's voted on and the bill is passed in both 2/3 in both the Senate and the House, then it can go. Actually, I think it was 2/3, and then it can go to the governor of the state or the executive, and it can be either vetoed or it can be signed, and then it becomes a law. Now, here's what's interesting about that. The landmark case, I talked about this in my Constitution video, from the Constitution, no state shall impair the obligation of contracts. There's a landmark case, Fletcher versus Peck, that says that a contract, no matter how attained, can't be invaded by state legislation. So your right to contract is unlimited. So state legislation can't supersede any contract you create, whether it's before or after the contract. But anyway, back to the story. So the cop got hot with me, and then I calmed him down and explained that what the state constitution says about laws, and that I have no obligation to wear a mask. And he started walking. He just walked away from me. And as he was walking away, he walked away before I could tell him that. Oh, he threatened. I know it. Okay, I'm doing this without notes today. He threatened to arrest me, and I told him, "If you arrest me, you'll be the one breaking the law." And then that's when I told him about Article 3, and then of the state constitution. And then he started walking away from me, and I said, "And if you do arrest me, it'll be kidnapping, it'll be deprivation of rights under color of law, and conspiracy for deprivation of rights under color of law." So before I could even say that, he was walking away from me. So that's how. So understand. My point is understanding the laws, how you deal with people. Then the other day, it looked like somebody that was like a regional manager that I'd never seen, because I know who's in Harris Teeter. So it looked like there was a regional manager there, and he came up to me. I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I knew what I put in my headphones low, binaural beats, and he walked up to me and said, "You have to wear a mask." I said, "No, I don't." And he said to me, trying to think of how exactly it went. He said to me, "Well, and I said, I explained to him executive orders only apply to the executive branch, blah, blah, blah. And then he gave me a story. Okay, so we're a corporation. If we're a corporation, we have a policy that says you can't have to wear shoes and a shirt. Then don't you have to follow it?" And I said, "Well, yeah, if you're being lewd, then you have to follow it. But if you're forcing someone to wear a mask where, number one, they can't breathe, they have trouble breathing, and even the executive order says if you have trouble breathing, you don't have to wear it, and you gag, and by the way, there's no evidence," I said to him, "there's no evidence that wearing a mask even does anything." And so he walked away from me, and this is what made me feel good. It made me feel like that I'm on the right path. There's a young woman next to me, and she had a mask on, and when she saw him walk away and heard the conversation, she said, "Good for you," and she took her mask off. So that's, those are like, I guess it was 4, if you include the one at Target where I actually just left. They told me to leave. But the funny thing is, they know at Harris Teeter, they know they cannot ask you to leave, because what they're doing is they're saying you can't buy food unless you wear a mask. And if that mask makes you uncomfortable or sick or anything else, then I told him, and he said, and I told him it would be a civil rights violation if he did not service me, and he walked away. And that's when the lady took off her. Serve me, not service me. That's when the lady took off said, "Good for you," took off her mask, and that was that. So that's what I want to say, and then I'm going to add one more thing to this. So I've heard that the gyms here on Maryland are opening, and supposedly they're going to do social distancing, which I'll respect people if they want me to stay far away from them, but supposedly obviously you can't wear a mask at the gym because you'd suffocate yourself. But from what I'm told, and I didn't get this email, but my friend's wife got it, I was told that they were only going to let people in at certain times and you'd have to schedule it. Well, guess what? My contract doesn't say anything about that. In fact, what my contract does is it holds them harmless from any kind of injury I get. So in other words, getting a virus would be an injury. So basically what I'm saying to people is if you know your rights and you look at your contracts, then that contract supersedes what the governor tells them, their store policy, because or the gym policy, because that's a private contract. I don't care what their policy is. I know what our contract says, and it doesn't say anything about a limited membership or having to sign up to go in at certain times. My contract says unlimited use. So I don't know if it directly says that, but we have a contract that basically doesn't say anything about any of this and holds them harmless from any injury. So if they're held harmless, then there's nothing in there that says I have to follow such a policy, then contract makes the law. So it doesn't matter what their policy is. And if a lot of people are going to do that, that's their right to do something that's outside of their contract if they agree to that. But I'm not. So that's that. And here's the thing. If you're so concerned, I think that this was blown out of proportion. I think there's a COVID-19, but I think it's ridiculous to shut everything down for a virus, not the flu, a virus. It's ridiculous. Here's the thing. If you want to wear a mask and you want to stay in and you're afraid and you don't want to go out to places and you don't want to be around people and you want to social distance, you stay in. Okay, let us people that want to go back and get down to business. Let us go and get it down to business. If you're afraid and you're in fear, then you stay in. It's that simple. Like everybody, and I'm not saying like everybody should be selfish, but we should stay in our lanes. You stay in if you're afraid. I saw somebody on Facebook say that, and I had respect for it. She said she was going to stay in until 2021. That's exactly what people should do. Don't make me stay in. Don't force these companies and people to lose their livelihoods because of a viral season. So stay in your lane. Everybody take care of yourself, and you know what, if I get it, it's my responsibility to take care of it, because you know what, when I walk outside, there's a chance that there's all kinds of viruses, bacteria, dirt, germs, it's all over the place. So if we're going to sit around and freak out, then let's just stay in a cocoon for the rest of our lives. The point is, this whole thing, in my opinion, was ridiculous. You don't shut down businesses. Let people make the decisions for themselves. This is the new age of personal responsibility. And I think that telling people that they have to come in at a certain time and this and that, it's draconian. Let us get down to business. Let people that want to go to work and go to the gym and do the things they want, let them do it. And those people that are afraid, stay in. Stay in. Let's respect each other's rights, And the potential for harm does not equate to harm. And a virus, And by the way, the state has no duty to protect you. So why do they have the right to tell you that you can't run your business or that you can't do this or you can't do that? They don't. Anyway, that's it for today. My next video, I'm thinking about doing what is the definition of time, what time is, and the fractality of time. So I'm thinking about going into time. I was also thinking about doing a show on the science of spirituality. The science. So I know yoga and practicing yoga and stuff, but there's actually a physical science that's very new that I want to bring out on my show. So that's what we can look forward to in the future, but I hadn't done a video in a long time, so I wanted to get a quick one in today. And that's it. Have a good day. and yet I'm the only one that doesn't get sick. You know?